The biggest thing that I bring into this job is being tenacious, right? Adversity happens to everybody in life. I tell people all the time, man, if you don't think you can get through what you're going through, look at what you already been through. You know, you go to a 9 to 5, we call it corporate slavery, right? You stay locked into that type of mentality, you'll never get out of it. And, you know, I tell people, you'll never become a millionaire working a 9 to 5. But when you take risk in life, you do something like this, something's going to change your life. Even though every day's not going to be good, every week's not going to be great. As long as you push through, it's going to change your life 100%. You know, it's less likely for people to kind of give you money or give you opportunities to make money over them. Whereas in our company, in our office, we throw bones at each other all the time. It's like, hey, I want to make sure everybody's getting paid.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's edition of Behind the Knock podcast. Today we have LeShaun Charles on. Why don't you say hi, LeShaun?
Hey, what's going on?
You got a camera right there.
Okay, I was like, which camera am I looking at here? Yeah. Hey, what's going on? Okay. I see you looking that way. I'm like,
yeah.
All right, cool.
But yeah, guys, we have LeShaun on. We're currently in the middle of like a blitz trip for the team. It's we have both offices here, and we have a bunch of prizes, competition, different things going on. So yeah, we also have Blue Form Media on the road again. Last time they were in Texas. This time they're with us on this blitz trip. So we got all hands on deck, content, everything, rocking and rolling. And thanks for coming on today, man.
For sure.
But yeah, so as you guys have seen, we've had various guests come on the show so far. Now, LeShaun, he's one of our like top contributors in the company. And so we definitely want to have LeShaun on, not just for what he's done with the within Proficient Windows, but what he's done just personally as well. So LeShaun, why don't you take it away? Just let us know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure, man. So just me. I know I look good for 62, but you know I kind of been on this earth for quite a while. No, I'm not really 62. I'm only 39, I guess, but
we're like a year apart.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. You know, you look older than me, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
But no. So 20-year retired Marine. Started doing Windows, and man, when I tell you, I had zero sales experience at all before I had this job. You know, I like to joke around. People tell I used to kick in Windows, but now sell them. You know, yeah. So it's actually pretty cool. But yeah, 20 years in the Marine Corps, man. Got out, started doing this. I retired last year in May. Started doing Windows. I was working with a different company immediately once I got out. Company name to be unknown or unsaid, but you know, got opportunity to move over to Proficient Windows, and like here we are, man. And you know, I would love to say it's the best job I've ever had, but the Marine Corps is. I can't never put that one down. But it's definitely the second best job I've had. This is hands down the best civilian job I've ever had.
Yeah.
You know, but definitely for sure, amazing company.
Well, you know, you've been a part of the company now for what, about 5 months, 4 months, 5 months?
Yeah, as far as Proficient, yeah, okay. Since January. Well,
you know, we're just getting started in terms of you know, what it's looked like and what it will look like. Mm-hmm. So that's a personal challenge of mine to make this be your favorite job.
It's hard.
I got a lot of work to do.
Those are big shoes to fill.
But you know what? I kind of look at you, LeShaun. I haven't really talked to you about this much, but I look at you as a guy that maybe it's from previous experience with what you've done in the military and everything, but you're a guy that can poke holes in things. Like you kind of look at stuff, you ask good questions, and it's like, I feel like not only do you contribute obviously with revenue and leadership and things, but just overall process and everything too. It's like and I think it's probably really good that you're coming from not like a wealth of experience with sales. So your perspective is different.
True.
And it's bringing this different set of eyes to things that I really appreciate, because I feel like it's kind of like stretching things a little bit and making sure that we're accounting for things without necessarily looking over them, because it's just always been like that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, man. Now, what do you think some of the skill sets and things that you got through your prior career that's allowed you to translate and do so well in something like this?
Oh, man. To be honest with you, I think the biggest thing that I bring into this job is being tenacious, right? Adversity happens to everybody in life, you know, and I think, you know, coming from a background like being in the Marine Corps, you know, for 20 years, like obviously like that's a really, really tough job. It's not meant for everybody, but, you know, I tell people all the time, man, if you don't think you can get through what you're going through, look at what you already been through. And so when it comes to that, like that builds just so much, more tenacity inside. You look at all the adversities and things you've been through in life, and that mentality for myself really came from being a Marine. So coming out into the civilian world, coming to this company and being able to keep that same culture, which is also another really good thing, and definitely would love to talk about. It's just culture overall, but definitely like when I'm just inspiring people to like, hey, we all in this together. Like it's okay to go through these hard times, to go through these tough times, but we all gonna make it out. Like it's all be okay. Like keep your head up, keep pushing forward, keep driving. And that's one of the biggest things that I gained from being a Marine when I transfers into this job. Because sales is not easy. It's not for everybody. And that particular term right there, like just that whole word, and it's just something not being for everybody. Marine Corps wasn't for everybody either. Not everybody's meant to do that job. Not everybody's meant to do sales. So to translate that over, because a lot of people don't make it through the tough times. You have a couple of bad months, a couple of bad days, a couple of bad weeks, and people give up. But being a Marine, there was no choice.
You can't give up.
I can't give up.
Not only your life, but other people's lives are on the line.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's kind of like the Jocko Willink sort of, I guess, mindset is like, when they operate, it's like people's lives are on the line.
Yeah.
So extreme ownership going all the way back down to figuring out why that happened. Shit runs downhill. A lot of people, they don't take that sort of accountability in their life because they don't realize that their life's or they don't think their life's on the line, but it actually is. Their livelihood is on the line.
Yeah.
Their family's livelihoods, like the quality, like it's on the fucking line,
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think that's you just understand principles. It's like a principle based thing.
Yeah.
And principles, it's not just sales specific. It's like universal language.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Now you mentioned some stuff about culture. Why don't you kind of talk a little bit more about that?
Man, so kind of backtrack a little bit. So for myself, I joined the Marine Corps the day after I graduated high school. I turned 18 a month and a half before that. So my identity just as an adult was a Marine. Culture I'd experienced as an adult was just this one level of culture where everybody took care of each other. Being a Marine was something to be proud of, but it wasn't the Marine Corps, it was about the people. And we always took care of one another. Like no matter what, I know your family, I know your mom, I know your kids, I know, what makes you work, what doesn't make you work, I know what makes you tick, and just really diving into each other and just knowing, because at the end of the day, you're exactly right. Like we depend on each other no matter what. So that type of culture just breeds just closeness and its cohesion, inside of a unit for myself initially that I didn't want to lose. And everything I heard from, different people who had gotten out of the Marine Corps, got out of the military, retired, all these different things, the biggest things they talked about was civilian culture. They're like, man, things are not going to be the same when you get out. They don't treat people how we do in the Marine Corps. People are selfish. They're cutthroat. They do this. Like, all you have to do is just show up at your job. If you don't do your job, you get fired. So for myself, I was like, man, I don't want to deal with that. So when I had the opportunity to meet this group of guys that we're with now, Drake and Isaiah and those other guys, when I came into that office, I had the same feeling of the culture that I had in the Marine Corps. And I can't, say anything else, but it's just a blessing, man. Like I'm truly blessed to be around that. And I give those guys kudos all the time. I was like, I really was afraid to be a civilian, but you guys have the same exact culture in this job that I had when I was in the Marine Corps, where people are completely selfless. We completely caring. Like we care about your well-being. We care about your family. We all like, and especially in sales, what I hear is really, really rare. Yeah. Everybody's pretty selfish when it comes to sales because that's everybody's money. That's their livelihood. So, it's less likely for people to kind of give you money or give you opportunities to make money over them. Whereas in our company, in our office, we throw bones at each other all the time. It's like, hey, I want to make sure everybody's getting paid.
Yeah.
And not even just on top of that as well, but we make sure everybody is progressing, everybody's growing, everybody's doing these things. It's like there's never one person that should ever be above somebody else. It's if you have people below you, we're bringing you up to this level.
Yeah.
And that's how everybody in this company has really been treating one another. It's like, hey, we're all good, or you're great, you're not good. Let's identify the problems you're having so I can bring you up to my level.
Yeah.
But it goes two ways, right? I see people above me. I know what they're good at. I want to question, I want to know, but to have that comfortability and that culture that people are open to want to give you advice and want to help you, dude, I couldn't ask for a better place to be, man, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's coming from 20 years in a Marine Corps type culture where that was really, really important. When these are people that I looked at as like my brothers and sisters, like we shared the same blood almost, even though we didn't.
Yeah.
And to come from that type of environment to come into this and have that same feeling, I'm blessed, man.
That's amazing. And that's something that definitely really kept me in the window industry is when I came into it, just the team I was on, the company I was a part of, especially during that time, it was, I mean, it almost seemed like it was too good to be true, but it wasn't. Like the relationships that I made that I still have to this day, the skill sets that I've learned, the money that I made. And I mean, the culture, that was everything. It was like you're around this group of people who are like, you know, inspired and moving forward, and everyone's making money. And it's just, you know, and then when everyone's like supporting each other, it's like my win's your win. Like, I don't know how many times I've said, like, it's, you know, like my win's your win. It's the opposite of like a crab in a barrel sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or like my success is your success. And so I was able to see a lot of things that I liked from the culture of that. And then also as, you know, things change and companies grow and just different things, you know, seeing the changes made at the top and how that affected the overall culture. And it really kind of gave me a roadmap of what it looks like to have a good culture and what it looks like to have a bad culture, you know? So in terms of what we're doing for like proficient windows in the culture, I mean, I'm coming from the perspective, I've said it before on podcasts, but like, you know, from the salesman's perspective, right? In terms of the culture, how we handle leadership, the changes that we make, whatever it is, like we're fully keeping y'all in mind when we do anything, because, you know, it's up to us to have the responsibility to ensure that you guys just have like we're the soil, you guys are the seeds. We got to make sure all the nutrients there, everything's there, you know? But yeah, so I'm kind of rambling now, but the culture, it's a super important thing, and really just breathing life into it, you know, leading by example with that stuff, and really showing people it's like, hey, if someone's struggling, go knock with them, like spend that time with them, because that can make all the difference. And that's something that really I found a lot of inspiration in terms of like my progression in Windows is being able to help guys, especially struggling guys, and get them to turn the corner and then see their lives progress after that. It's not going to happen with everyone, but there's going to be some key guys that you're able to spend that little bit of extra time with, those a little bit of extra efforts, and it's all the difference for them. Yeah. And, you know, how does that translate to their family and how they influence people?
True,
you know?
True. So I do got a quick little story just about just that culture of selflessness, especially in this company, right? So we had a guy that used to work with us. Well, he actually is still working with us now, just kind of moved over to a different position. But at the time, he was a door knocker. Really, really good guy, amazing person, man. And he started to have some physical, you know, problems with himself, back problems and things like that, to where he wasn't able to get out there and knock. We wanted to make sure us as proficient, like we gathered together and say, hey, this guy, he's not able to get out there and do what he's able to do, but we're going to get out there and work twice as hard for him and try to put his name on some couple appointments and a couple of sales to try to get this guy some money. I don't think that happens anywhere else. I don't think people care about one another that much, man, to ever do that to somebody else. But that's the type of family culture and family environment that we have here, to where, you know, like, hey, man, we know you're not able to get out there. We're going to get out here and work for you. And we're going to put your name here because we want to make sure your family's getting paid. Yeah. I don't think any other job does that for people, man. No. You know, but when you truly do something like that for it and be very genuine with it, that's the family type of culture that, like I said, I've experienced so much in my life, and you guys have it here in this company. And dude, that's amazing, man. You know, so I can't have a better word than just blessed. Yeah. You know, and I hope everybody else feels the exact same way. And I don't want this culture to ever change. And so I hope it never does. But, you know, if I'm have anything to do with it, never will. Yeah. Well, and that's a thing too. It's like the moves you're making, just how you carry yourself in general. Like, it's very clear and obvious that there's a path for LeShaun to be a major influence in this organization. And, you know, I 100% agree. In terms of growth, like, we have really big goals, but I don't want to grow for the sake of growing, only for the sake of like opportunity, and we do it organically, you know? Because if we grow to grow, then we could maybe lose sight of that culture a little bit, lose touch of it a little bit. But if we just focus on, you know, like the foundation of what it is, like what brought us together, what makes this thing go, what makes people feel inspired, because that's a huge thing just in general. Like, shit runs downhill. And if from the top, we're not setting things up in a way where people can be inspired, then
they're going to get disinterested over time. Next thing you know, the grass is going to be greener somewhere else. And, it's a great way to make competition for yourself. And I'm a firm believer that like the way we operate the sales team is like the sales team is first in the company. They're over even the customers, because if we take care of the sales team, who are they going to take care of?
Yeah.
Customers, take care of the company. It just, again, shit runs downhill. So if we have, again, things kind of operating in certain ways at the top, then as it kind of goes down and scales or whatever it is, it's just less of those things that we run into. But yeah, now let's do a little transition here. Before we were got on the podcast, you were talking about kind of like your hesitancy, which you already kind of mentioned, but I think we can talk about it in terms of you're not the first military guy, Marine specific, that I've seen come in to Windows and do extremely well. In fact, producer on the podcast, Blake, from Blue Form Media, he's a former Marine as well. And it was cool because when you guys were you're talking about kind of the family dynamic of Marines and everything, I saw you guys, like, I introduced you in that moment. And it seemed like you guys have known each other for 10 years. Like, it was just like, it was just like little joking and everything. And so that was super cool, because just for you guys to have that dynamic based off of culture and everything, that's really what we're trying to do with this. And people that come from that sort of space, maybe it's military, or maybe, they were like into sports, or they're like fresh out of, being a collegiate athlete or whatever it is, people that kind of have this structured way of going about things, and they're able to, team oriented, structured way of going about things. You can go attach yourself to an organization that's going to have that same feel. Yeah. And what's super cool about this, I mean, we've talked about so many benefits, and the one thing that we haven't talked about, money. I mean, obviously there's a lot of money to be made with this, but I mean, that's the last thing that we're talking about. Yeah. On top of all these other things, I mean, what has the opportunity for income or earning potential been for you?
Man, so it's crazy, being honest with you, I've made more money doing this job than I did 20 years in the Marine Corps. Like a single paycheck for me can be anywhere like 2 to 3 months worth of Marine Corps pay at my 20-year mark, which I've done several times doing this job. So just the opportunity is definitely in this. But what I will say is that a lot of people live in fear, right? This is not something that's easy, but for the people who take the risk, who take the leap, the opportunity is endless. Like, you have something that can change your life that's right here and doing this job. And, but like we said in the beginning, like, it's not for everybody, but for the people that it is for, this is life changing when it comes to monetary, when it comes to experience. But particularly that money rolling in has been really nice. I had my engine blew in my car a couple of months ago, right? Mm-hmm. Dealership called and told me, it's like, hey, it's going to be $27,000. I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, I'm not doing that. I'll, Bonnie rubble that thing, cut a hole in the bottom, just use my feet, right? And then it was like, well, maybe we can get it down to 20. I'm like, still like, hell no, So I ended up finding my own engine, long story short, cost me about $15,000. I was able to make that amount of money in 1 week to cover the cost of that just by doing this job. If I'd had my last job, I'd have been struggling for months trying to figure out how I'm going to put a new engine in my car. But it wasn't even a worry for me having this job, So that peace of mind for me was just so good, I went home and told my wife, I told her how much that engine was cost. I was like, don't worry about it, baby. I'll make it next week. And I went out and made it next week, and that's the opportunity we have here by doing what we're doing. Like, no other job is going to provide that for you. You go to a 9 to 5, we call it corporate slavery, right? You stay locked into that type of mentality, you'll never get out of it. And, I tell people, you'll never become a millionaire working a 9 to 5. But when you take risk in life, you do something like this, something's going to change your life. Even though every day is not going to be good, every week's not going to be great. As long as you push through, it's going to change your life 100%. I got money in the bank. I feel good. I haven't stopped smiling yet, man. I really haven't stopped smiling since I retired. I'm a free man now, but even better now, man. I look at that bank account. If I'm feeling a little down for myself, I open my phone up like, okay, window money. Yeah. You know what I mean? Window money is good, And I laugh and joke with people. Some of the guys I used to be in the Corps with, and they be like, hey man, what are you doing now? I'm like, oh, I'm selling windows. They be like, what? Windows? I'm like, hey man, look, don't knock it. I just made $11,000 in 2 days. You know what I mean? Like, how much you made, in the past 3 months, way more. So it's up there. People just don't know what they don't know, man. But I will tell you, window money is good money.
Yeah.
Definitely feeding the family, saving money, and it's definitely projecting me to a point to where it's really preparing me even better for retirement when I retire again for the second time, when I really turn 62.
Yeah.
Not this fake 62 that I tell people I am right now.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Excuse me. Let me get a drink of coffee real quick. But yeah, I think you said you don't know what you don't know, right? So there's a lot of people that think that it's not for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right. It's true. It's not for them. But there's more people, and I've said it on a podcast before, it can be for more people than what they otherwise think, just because I know from my personal experience when the owner of that former company had first started it, I remember him posting videos on Facebook. He's like, just out here knocking doors, this and that. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? You're knocking doors? And one thing led to another, and I'm like, hell yeah, knocking doors. I don't know what happened to it, but for years I had a shirt that said I knock doors on it.
That's pretty dope.
So but yeah, it was like this kind of limiting belief almost, or like, what are you doing? Like, that's not like a real thing or whatever it is. And maybe true for some things with door to door, because who knows what, the credibility of the company or how beneficial the product actually is for people. But with Windows, I mean, how many times have you talked to people? They're like, yeah, we were just talking about Windows today.
Yeah,
Like,
really, really often. It's definitely a huge need for Windows, like definitely for sure. Like if I didn't feel like there was a need to do this job, I wouldn't be doing it, but not even just, how many people I talk to say they're just talking about Windows, but the amount of people who don't think they can actually afford Windows.
Mm-hmm.
That's even better for me. Like I'm a spiritual guy myself. I know I joke around, do a bunch of different things, but my purpose in life is to help people. I've known that since I was like 16 years old. Pastor told me that I was going to be a preacher one day. I'm not anywhere near to being a preacher, but I do a lot of other stuff, a lot of work, a lot of mentoring, a lot of different things. So I am kind of preaching a little bit, but the biggest point I'm trying to get to is that, like, I know I'm here to help. So when I go into this job and I get the opportunity to go into these people's homes that don't feel like they can actually afford Windows, to me, that means so much more, because I get there and I'll show them like, oh, wow, like I can really do this. I've had so many people, get emotional with me, just like, thank you so much for showing me something I could do, because the need is definitely there. So we're not out here just taking people's money. We're actually genuinely helping people. Mm-hmm. And that means more to me than the money than anything. The money is more like a byproduct of us having an opportunity to help people.
Yeah.
And, I talked to another homeowner last week. He's like, hey, you guys are expanding. You're doing this. There are people who are in it for two reasons. People are in it for the money, and people are here to help. And I was like, we're genuinely like 100% here to help. This is not about money for us. We're genuinely just showing people something that we can definitely do. And I say it with complete conviction when I'm sitting across from my homeowner at the kitchen table in their home, and I'm letting them know how wonderful my company is, the type of work we're doing, looking at the type of product that we have. Like, I believe in what we're doing, so I say it like I believe in it. If I didn't believe in it, I wouldn't do it. Like, I have to be honest and transparent with people, so get into that. So just what we actually are providing for homeowners as well as for the people that we have working with us, like, both people are just benefiting from all this through all the way around, but definitely, like, it is a very, very life-changing thing, what we're actually doing for us and for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And we go for the win-win with the customers. It's like, obviously we're giving them the discount for a reason. It's helping us out and everything, but like genuinely, like, I want to help them out. Mm-hmm. Like, it's almost more like we're more like a helpsman than a salesman, if you will. Tristan, if you're watching this, I remember that, buddy. But anyway, yeah. So with, excuse me. Sorry, you can edit this part out, right? Sorry, I'm just starting to brain fart a little bit.
Let me go back a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry, like, I literally slept like an hour last night. So just a little tired. Yeah, no caveat.
So I'll cut it out after Tristan.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you can hear me, future editor, you can pick that I can hear myself. So you better be listening. But cut this out. Let's go to 23:20, somewhere around there. Find a cut and then come back in whenever J-Rod goes in.
Do you need anything, by the way, J-Rod?
Yeah, need some water.
No, well, let's get it wrapped up here in a second.
I swear I was gonna say the same.
No, but like my phone's going crazy. Drake keeps texting me and stuff, so just kind of throwing me off a little bit.
You guys are killing this, by the way. Love it.
Appreciate it, guys. You guys have anything you think of?
I think you should talk about who's going to carry the culture. You know, Goggins, who's going to carry the boat? Who's going to carry the culture, right? And I think a 20-year Marine Corps vet is one of those pillars you can build off, right? And so there's room for more people to come in and hold this culture up. But the team you guys have now, I know half of them, and now I know LeShaun, and it's fucking solid.
Yeah, super solid.
That'd be a good wrap up on the culture.
One thing I wanted to touch on, so y'all haven't announced to the team the FCL thing, right?
No, not yet.
Okay. Because by the time this podcast comes out, that'll be announced to them. So I was thinking maybe we could talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
And because that is pretty much kind of a segue more or less into that, because LeShaun is just basically taking on a leadership role.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So
I'm on your camera right now. So however you want to tie that back in, we'll cut back in as soon as you start talking.
okay. Yeah, guys. So we're gonna get this episode wrapped up here pretty quick, but one last thing we want to touch on. Our team has not been made aware of this yet. It's a special announcement that we have on this trip for the last day. Is that do you want to say what it is that we're doing?
Yeah, for sure. I'm super hyped, but I moved up, got the opportunity to become an FCO in the office. So field coordinator leader, so it's a really good position as far as leadership, and definitely as far as advancing in this company. I mean, I start off as a door knocker, 3 months later offered a position to become a junior director, 2 months later became a senior director. Now I am, 5 months after that, becoming an FCL, basically one of the top 2 leadership positions in an office, which is really, really nice. So just that progression over that period of time. I've only been doing the job for a year. So the opportunity is definitely there for somebody else to come and do the same thing. Like, it's just endless. But as long as you believe in what you're doing, you believe in the company, which I 100% do in both of those, and you come out here and you bust your butt and you just work hard, knock on these doors and put in the job, put in the work, it definitely pays off. It's definitely been paying off for me. So, and I know this isn't the end. It's just another step. I got a long ways to go. I'm not coming for your job, Jared, but I want to be right beside you,
Yeah.
But it's just the biggest thing is, not for anything else, but just because I want to hold something on my back when it comes to like this company. Like, I believe in this company. I love this company. So for me, it's just really important to have a level of influence on the culture for this company and the where things are going, and just inspiring people in this company and inspiring, the leadership, and just make sure we're developing people, and just all those things are really, really important to me, to where it's not just my office I'm influencing, but also the entire company. So being able to have an opportunity to do that, I try my best, to be super humble. And I don't bring Marine Corps into my job every single day, but like, I have, obviously a ton of skills, when it comes to that. But for me, I just want people to feel what I feel. And I feel like the love for this company, I feel the culture. So for me, if I can, be in a position to just allow it to disperse throughout everybody else, that's what I'm doing. I want to continue to do that. I won't stop. Even just on the ride here today, I was on the phone with one of our coordinators who just wasn't having a good week, and it's like, you have to have a short-term memory when it comes to adversity. Get past it, keep going. We only hold down or allow things to hold us back that we choose to. You can't choose what happens to your life, but you can always choose how you react to it. You can choose your perspective. And for me, being in a leadership position, this company is now an FCL. That's the type of things that I need my people, developing, making strong mentally people as well as physical. But mentality, this is a mentally strong job.
100%.
You have to be 100% into it. And, from my position, that's where I plan on pushing down on everybody else as far as the culture for this company.
Appreciate it, man. 100%. Yeah. And that FCL, I mean, that for one, that's a great progression path, right? Like basically every couple months, it's that next step, right? So there's several more steps to take. There's the OSL position, just to be the head honcho in the office, which, just keep checking them boxes, and then beyond that, there's executive leadership, and there's a lot of growth potential within that.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can't get there without people like you, people that are purveyors of this culture and this messaging and all of it, because it can't just be Drake, Isaiah, and me, right? It's got to be, you know, who's up next. And looks like it's you.
Yeah. It was was it Eleanor Roosevelt? She said, no better friend, no worse enemy than a Marine. I'm always a friend, brother, so I'm here. You know, you guys got me in your corner. I'm here to stay. You know, I love this company, and I'm gonna continue to do what I can, you know, to continue to progress, not just myself, but everybody else. So,
love it, man.
for sure.
Well, thanks for hopping on, LeShaun. You've been one of the guests we've been wanting to get on the most so far. It's just a logistical thing. However, we would very much like you to be a regular on this, because I mean, we literally just grazed over some basic stuff. I mean, we can get into the weeds with a lot of stuff with this stuff.
For sure.
But yeah, guys, appreciate you for tuning in. Again, this is the Behind the Knock podcast. And if y'all are looking for a great organization to join, a great opportunity to have, not only for great culture, obviously there's great financial benefits as well. Proficient Windows, let us know. Like, subscribe, DM us.
Go ahead now.
Have a great one.